This event will begin shortly. 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 Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this live event broadcasted from the Netherlands. We have participants from around the globe in a variety of time zones, so enjoy your morning coffee, afternoon tea, or your evening snack while we'll get this started. Today you will learn more about the timeline and effects of Brexit and the logistic solutions. Brexit is coming, less than 2 weeks and counting. We have 3 speakers today, and Remco Buurman, CEO of the Holland International Distribution Council, will introduce today's program and the speakers, and Remco will moderate today's event. Remco, up to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Jochem, and welcome everyone on this last webinar of the year we organize. It has been a strange year. All the travel was cancelled. It was no longer possible to organize live events. One-to-one physical meetings were no longer possible. But one thing emerged, and that is webinar after webinar. We organized more than 25 webinars this year, and this is the last one. And actually, it's the 4th one which is related to the Brexit and the final one for this year. Brexit has had a big impact on our work as well. About 20% of all the new projects and 20% of the confirmed projects are related to projects coming from the UK. And that's just the UK, because also some investments from other countries are related to the Brexit. We have a large number of projects coming in from New Zealand and Australia, but also Japanese companies moving distribution centers from the UK to Europe because of Brexit. As Jochem just mentioned, it's another 2 weeks to go and then the Brexit will be a fact, but it will not be the end of the effects of the Brexit, because that will run on in the next year as well. Today we have 3 great presentations. First one is look at the Brexit from a strategic perspective. The second one from the customs perspective, and the third one from the transport perspective. Our first speaker is a well-known presenter in our Brexit webinars. It's Raymond Nicodem, the CEO at Nicodem and Company. He's the red line in all our Brexit webinars, where he gives the strategic perspective, the timeline, the preparations in the UK, and now also the scenarios after Brexit has taken place. Raymond, please go ahead.
Microfoon, Raymond.
Raymond, put on the microphone.
Yeah, I put on the mic. Good morning, evening, and good afternoon from the international audience. Like looking at the next slide, this gives a good perspective of the process where we're in and how complex that process is. And I'm not talking about the content of the negotiation so much, but Mr. Barnier and Lord Frost have spoken to each other since January 29th, when the UK exited from the EU. But again, to approve this all, this has to go through a long way of parliaments and organizational procedures. The next sheet shows the real impact that is not felt within the transition phase. The transition phase is the period when the withdrawal has been active. This will end by the end of the year. But the transition phase leads into a new era, which is the next step in the timeline we're looking at, is the new relationship, and that starts January 1st, and that's within 2 weeks from now. What's going to happen at January 1st? First of all, we have customs border clearance. That's something we haven't had for a very long time with the UK, but now it starts. This is, by the way, one of the elements which has been clear since January 29th of this year. This has been crystal clear. So everybody should have been prepared for this event. This has nothing to do with a deal or no deal, or a hard or soft Brexit, or mediocre Brexit, or whatever. Let's look at the next step. In the early part of January, the impact on the businesses and logistics will be pretty low relative to the high stocking levels and the hamstring that has been happening. The next situation, which is going to be more tricky than that, is business becoming more dependent on the actual flow of goods. So the warehouse is becoming empty, and the real flow of goods starts to arise. And that's not an operational issue. And this will end and it will settle itself probably within the next 5 to 10 years. But within those periods, within this time frame, we have to look at strategically in how we're going to deal with this. Now, you'll notice that the part of the new era is green in the beginning. And why is that green? That's contingency measures that are put in place by a no-deal exit. and I will come to back to that later. Because it has caused a massive change in the play field, and keep taking operational measures will not help you. They will help you right now, but they won't help you in the long run. And again, it will be very, very hard to explain why you didn't prepare in time, because this has been going on for 3 to 4 years. Let's look at the result of the Brexit, result of the sealing on the withdrawal agreement. Now, these are the key elements, and there are a lot. But let's keep this simple. Let's keep this simple, and let's take out the cross-border issues, and let's look at them. I'll give you a few examples. I will go to that in a few seconds. Let's look at the differences between a no deal or a deal. In terms of customs and border clearance, there's no difference at all. There's going to be customs declarations, safety declarations, security, regulatory checks, VAT, whatever. That's with a deal or with a no deal. The only thing that's a maybe, and that's dependent on a deal or no deal, it's the tariffs and quotas. Those are depending on the outcome of the negotiations that are currently going on. Now, look at the tariffs and quotas. That's the main focus of the negotiations that are going on at the moment. Now, that might be a very little part of the whole pie, but the impact can be massive. Also, the tariffs and quotas, because that drives the price of goods and the price of services. Going to the next one is the UK is obviously catered for the amount of traffic that will pile up before the crossings of the channel. Now, this might look funny, but it is not funny. The traffic is piling up in a way that they have to create 28 or up to 30 different locations to store the traffic of trucks. There has to be mobile capacity of sanitary facilities. It's not funny. And again, if you see what the personal security of truck personnel, the safety of the cargo, the capacity, like even go for a shop and take a bar of chocolate, like this is serious stuff. Traffic that piles up to like 10, 12 hours delay. Now, it's not any better at the European end, because that's not to say that like the UK has their stuff not in the right shape. We are in the same boat. If you look at Calais, Zeebrugge, the main ports to the UK, massive backup. But again, there's another trick that Calais has to deal with, is the illegal immigrants, and they have been there for like many years. But now, with the total pile of traffic, it's for them it's much easier to break in trucks, to sneak in there and basically make their way to the UK, and that causes dangerous situations. They can damage goods. That has to do with product liability, even human trafficking, which is like highly illegal, obviously, and may cause heavy fines to to first of all truck drivers and other companies. Now, there are a lot of people who say to me, like, we're dealing with 60 different countries, so the UK, well, we can deal with that. But that's all fine. But if you are in that yellow truck with underneath the red dot, with everything in order and the right documents, you still are queued up in that same row, causing a lot of like traffic jams. Everybody that has their stuff not in order will be questioned at the border, and every 2-minute delay will back up traffic tremendously. Also with groupage storage of cargo, if there is one box or a part of the cargo which is not like ready to go, the whole truck is being parked aside and cannot pass the border. So my advice is to prevent as much as possible, because you're going to be liable if you're not careful with the like decay of goods, infringement of regulations, whatever. And it can all have serious consequences, like paying VAT money, like VAT up front, can cause a serious cash drain on your operations. If you can't cater for that, you can go bankrupt. So it's all not like it's all not funny, and it's very serious. Now, you've all heard about the battle on the fishery. I give you some examples of that. Like from day one, and that's January 1st midnight 2021, there's been expected that there's over 200 vessels of non-UK nations fishing in British waters. And that causes like frustration and anger in the already heated industry. Not only between the UK and France, or between the UK and Belgium, but also between the nations among themselves, because like all the fishermen are totally heated up. Looking at the enforcement capabilities, the UK is under capacity, and they're scaling up now. They're putting vessels in service. But again, civilians and army is called in to help the Navy to cope with that understaffed situation. Now, looking at all the others, and again, we just picked up cross-border issues, there are many, many more. And I give you some examples of one of them is airlines. And this is not a theoretical situation. This is real life. If there's no deal, there's no license to fly and land planes on European soil. And again, that's only going to be met by a specific partnership and agreement on aviation. But bear in mind, you're reaching immediately all the sticking points: state aid, labor laws, environment, playing field provisions. Those are the sticking points that are causing that we're not having a deal yet. Now, British Airlines will not be under the jurisdiction of the Court of Justice in Europe, because the UK won't accept that court. The next one is like the operating licenses will be not valid. So you have to put your air operator in the European Union, or at least have 50% ownership. And I can't go on like that. This is serious stuff, and this is where a deal or no deal will make or break the situation in total disaster, or like a little bit of disaster. Now, looking at the traditional stepping stone of what the UK has played at, like from specifically from the Far East and Canada and the United States, they have been dealing through the UK with mainland Europe. But currently, that situation ceased to exist. And you have to review your location of your stepping stone. That can still be the UK, but again, be careful that the golden rule that we take in our hands is you have to place your stepping stone in your main market, or your main market potential. And basically, it's if you're dealing with the whole of the EU and the non-EU markets, you better place it in the EU. Otherwise, if you're only dealing with UK home market and non-UK markets, you can like place it or leave it in the UK. So clearly speaking, you have to analyze what the size of the foreign market is. Now, stepping to the next situation, the UK will like leave their ability to have a deep sea hub from a tax point of view, because all of the traffic you just saw and just talked about, it's better to land your goods in the main port of Europe and then ship it short sea to the UK, because the transit point of the UK will have a totally different meaning from January 1st. But again, the Brexit effects are mutual. Like we both suffer from that. The ability to bypass the Channel Tunnel and the ferry obstructions, there are good combinations with short sea links and have place your containers on ships instead of trucks. So there are operational sufferings. Don't forget your general terms and conditions. But again, there are opportunities as well. You're able to analyze it. You're able to analyze your clients and the market you're operating in, and look for turnarounds. Look for specific situations. But they're all having a strategic character. Now, how do you do that? Like very briefly, this is a supply chain of a general company. Why don't you analyze that organization operation and mainly look at your client base? Then secondly, take those impact areas and analyze them based on the supply chain. And thirdly, write an action plan and not to forget to execute it. And this is the way you overcome your burdens. Because you know your client at best, and you can add immediate value to them. And otherwise, you're competitive. But because don't forget, the instability that's created now is competitors' Valhalla. So they're on the lurch, and you better prepare yourself. Now, last but not least, you're not alone in this situation. So we have to work together to conquer this complex field of operations. We've built in a lot of expertise up on top of our 35 years experience. We work on Brexit now for the last 3 to 4 years. And like, why don't we work together? You and your partners in the value chain, they have to work together. We're able to deal with like unpredictable situations. And that's what we're here for, and that's why we love to work with you and to apply your knowledge. I want to turn it over to Remco.
Yes, thank you very much, Raymond, for sharing these insights again, and thank you for the whole year. I think you've been a great asset to help everyone to understand what's happening in these Brexit procedures. For all the participants, I would like to tell you it's of course possible to ask questions. If you move your cursor, there will be a bar in the bottom of your screen, and there you will find a box with a question mark. If you tap on that, you will be able to ask your question. And at the end of the webinar, we will try to answer as many questions as possible. If we do not have enough time, we will put the answers to those questions on our website. And by the way, also the presentations will become available afterwards, as is a recording of this webinar. We are moving on to our next speaker. Now we will have a look from the customs perspective, and we are very happy to have a representative of the Dutch customs today in our webinar. So I would like to give the floor to Mr. Rick Lichthart. Rick, please go ahead. Please put on the mic, Rick. Rick, can you unmute? I see there are some problems with unmuting. I'll look at the producers. Can you do anything in short notice? No? Then I propose to move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is the head of UK trade of Samskip, and he will give some insights in the transport between the EU and the UK. Until this moment, there has been a lot of truck transport and also some short sea. Well, David will tell something about the short sea opportunities which will emerge during the Brexit situation. David, the floor is yours.
Yes, good afternoon. I hope I'm clear and that the unmute has been successful. Yes, I see a nod. Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to today advise you on the short sea options that Samskip can offer. It's only 14 days before the Brexit. I fully appreciate everybody is very busy with the preparations. In case you haven't thought about short sea as a solution, I would like to take you through in the coming minutes to explain who we are as Samskip, what we can offer you, and what you have to take into account when moving to short sea instead of a conventional truck. Next slide, please. First of all, about Samskip, we have a head office in Rotterdam, but not only in Rotterdam, worldwide we have offices in 35 countries, and what we do, we offer transport and related services by land, sea, rail and air, various modalities. We have a specific focus on the European multimodal market, where we operate with own assets to service the customer demands and the market with cost-efficient, reliable, and most importantly, environmentally friendly solutions. The core features of what we do every day, we provide door-to-door and key-to-key services across our network. Customers can use their own equipment. Samskip also have a variety of equipment types for each specific commodity. And we open up our network for everybody who sees the benefit of using multimodal transport. And again, now 14 days before the Brexit goes live and the market will change, we see more and more customers seeing the benefits, and I will take you through them throughout this presentation. First of all, in a snapshot, how do we achieve this within Samskip? How do we make the multimodal chain work? We have to give you an idea of the scale of our current operation. First of all, we have around 1,700 employees, of which the majority are based in Europe. In most of the European countries, we have a presence for your local operations to interact in your own language. We operate 17,000 containers. Actually, recently, as Raymond indicated, the uplift of the UK market has caused us to already take in more containers and facilitate the growth in the market. And that's not only for the stock building that we see going on right now, but also for the structural shift in the market that we expect and that we already see happening. We also operate 22 vessels, 1,500 trailers. So it's a sizable business, and it's ready to grow further. We use various modalities, rail, in some areas more than in others. Other areas we use more barges or the short sea vessels throughout Europe. And this entire network is resulting in the following overview of Europe and the various, let's say, how we call it, the spaghetti. If we go to the next slide. The connections that we have in place today, we use them to service Iceland, Norway, Iberia, UK and Ireland. Those are all areas where we operate with our short sea vessels. When we look at more on the continental side, Italy, Eastern Europe, and Sweden, those are the areas where we predominantly use the rail connections to again stimulate the taking the cargo off-road, which is an environmental benefit, as well as it's a solution to driver shortages, which I'm sure most of us have seen increasing over the last couple of years. And now, again, Brexit will give a further incentive to switch to multimodal solutions. This network, how do we use this network, and how does your cargo fit onto this network? We have various equipment types apart from the standard trailers, which we also operate and can offer. We use various container types. First of all, the 45-foot pallet-wide high cube containers. They are designed to offer the same space as a conventional trailer, so 33 pallets fit inside the container, and this is by far the most used container in our network. Apart from that, we also offer customers with perishable goods to use the reefer containers, again 45 foot long, so space for 33 pallets. And we also, for customers who don't have the options to load containers from the rear, we have the curtain sider containers with side access options. As you can see below, we have more specialized equipment for, especially for the building and the steel market, the construction sector, where you can see there's either you can load from the top, you can load from the sides. We can even offer out of gauge commodities to fit on these flats. So various solutions are possible. Then zooming into the UK and Irish market, where obviously today and for the last months, if not years, the UK is high on the agenda of everybody. How do we service the UK today? We use 3 main ports at the moment in the UK. That is Tilbury in the south, Hull in the north of England, and Scotland via Grangemouth. This offers the benefits that we every day for each and specific cargo flow our customers have. We want to use a nearby hub to as quickly as possible enable the container to be pulled off the road onto a vessel or a multimodal connection into a port, and shipped to the receiver as close as possible. So this has also the benefit that we are using short sea terminals where they are not congested with deep sea vessels, which typically have a much higher number of containers on board. We see that the short sea is requiring a different type of terminal where we can facilitate a quick turnaround to ensure that the cargo is on time in the UK and back. Looking at the continental side, we use the terminals in Rotterdam, but also in Amsterdam and Ghent, again to ensure that the cargo is flowing to the nearest terminal, and that there are multiple ports of exits that we can use, so to make the entire multimodal chain more and more reliable. What you also see on the map is the connections to Ireland. That is also, in light of Brexit, very relevant, where we see today customers using the land bridge function, as it's called, shipping from the continent into the UK, using a distribution center to then distribute the cargo also to Ireland from the UK. Obviously, the Brexit means that customers continuing to do this will see 2 border crossings before getting to Ireland. That is, of course, not really cost effective, and it consumes a lot of time, apart from the fact that there's a high risk of congestion, as was mentioned before. So therefore, our direct services from the Netherlands into Ireland offer a great alternative to avoid these challenges. Then finally, and to summarize why multimodal, not only for Brexit, it gives a great opportunity to avoid some of the challenges that Raymond has described. We operate through short sea terminals. We avoid the Channel Tunnel, where possibly the congestion will become an issue. We ship the container to the UK, and only when the customs are cleared and the container is released for delivery, we send the driver to pick up the container and deliver to the customer. And in the end, this will be a very efficient solution to cope with the challenges that we will see. And apart from a more efficient operation throughout the Brexit transition, there are the already known benefits of avoiding driver shortage issues by using the multimodal connections into the ports on the continent mainly, reducing CO2 emissions. The on-time collection and delivery performance is an important benefit. There is, of course, when comparing to the current truck solutions, it will be slightly slower compared to a fast truck, but will the truck still be fast when we see these challenges appearing? And what is more important, the transit time, or is it the on-time reliability that the cargo is there when it has been agreed to be there? Then I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Any questions, we can handle them now, or maybe at the end of the presentation when also Rick has been able to explain the customs, from a customs side, what you have to take into account. At least for now, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, David, for this great overview. We'll save the questions till the end of the webinar. The technical issues with Rick have been solved, so we move on to Rick to tell everything about the situation regarding to customs. Rick, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I've unmuted now, so hopefully you are all able to hear me. And I apologize to all for this small inconvenience. Thank you especially to NDL for inviting me today, and to David for showing your flexibility, and together with the production team to fill in the gap. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. One thing that I would like to express before I start the presentation: I will not go into a possible outcome of the negotiations between the EU and the UK. For a simple fact, what I will present to you today will be applicable with or without an agreement. So I think there's no need to try to see whether there will be an agreement or not. My presentation will more or less touch upon these items. So the impact of Brexit on free movement of goods between the EU and UK, which was also already mentioned in Raymond's presentation. I will share some slides on what the role of the Customs Administration of the Netherlands is in international trade, and especially related to the gateway to Europe for shipments coming from overseas, from third countries. I will tell you something about the preparations that we have done within the Customs Administration. And finally, I will touch upon, as requested by NDL, to the function of the Netherlands as a hub or as a stepping stone, as Raymond and David have mentioned, for your business into the EU as well as into the UK. Yeah, what does Brexit mean? I hope you all know what it means, that it will be, the UK will no longer be part of the internal market and the customs union. And although the UK has already left the EU, well, nearly 11 months ago, so far you have not seen any effects because of the transition period. But once the transition period ends, and if I'm correct, there will be 14 to 15, 14 days from today, then we will see the effects that were highlighted by Raymond in his previous email. So what does it mean for trade? It will mean that you will have to deal with us, customs in the Netherlands, customs in the UK, customs in Belgium, France, everywhere where you will cross a border between the EU and the UK, on both sides. And as David mentioned, if you continue your journey via the land bridge into Ireland, you will cross two borders, which means you will have to deal with the EU side on the east side of the UK, then the UK customs, and follow by the Irish customs on the west side of the UK. You might run into issues of levying of customs duties and trade policy measures, and with customs duties, it's not just the import duty, there's also VAT involved. And that's besides the non-tariff barriers, such as veterinary, phytosanitary requirements, special product requirements, and checks on, for example, waste. Well, you might wonder what has customs to do with all of that. Well, the next slide shows you a circle in which customs has a supervisory role. If you look at the triangle at the bottom, you will see our more traditional role related to tax and duties, import and export duties, excise, and so on. But over the years, and for Dutch customs, that is now more than 400 years, there has been a development where customs as a center, with its center position at the border, has been asked by other departments to enforce legislation for them. And that is what you see in the other four pieces of the pie, where we, for example, have a role in economic legislation. Think about IPR, counterfeited goods, strategic goods, but also in the safety area, where you also can expect the colleagues of the agricultural departments for phytosanitary products, flora and fauna, but also the product safety, the CE brand that you might find on your electronic devices is something that is not legislation run by customs, but it is legislation from another department, the economic department, Ministry of Economic Affairs. Apologies, and we will check on the CE markings of imported and exported goods. And well, if later on, if the slides are be presented to you, you might want to deep dive into all the legislation that is mentioned. That most important for today is that once we start a new relation with the UK, all this legislation have to be followed by you and will be supervised by customs, where now, without, well, hardly any of these legislation is applicable to your shipments between the EU and the UK. So be aware of that fact. And just as an example, just the other day, I received a question regarding single-use plastic, which is wrapped around transport equipment, which is brought back as a service by the Dutch transporting company from the UK into the EU, so it can be recycled on this side of the channel. From January 1st, actually, it's already, you should already mention that to the enforcers, but there's especially from 1st of January. Be aware that the fact that customs in the UK as well as the Netherlands might supervise on that, on those kind of shipments. So you can imagine with the upcoming Brexit, we didn't start preparing yesterday. So we have started preparing. Next slide, please. We have started preparing for Brexit in 2017 already. Once we knew the UK would leave the EU, we have done some research and analysis on, well, what will that mean for us, Netherlands Customs, one of the biggest trading partners for the UK, and with a lot of shipments flowing to and from the UK. Well, maybe we can say we are a little bit lucky with all the postponed deadlines that we have seen over the last couple of years. We have become more and more ready. It gave us a little bit of extra time to get all the staff recruited and trained and ready by the end of this year. We have added almost 20% to our staff, which is over 900 staff members additional to the 4.5 that we used to have. And maybe it's good to mention in this webinar that from January 1st, we will have a customs attaché based at our embassy in London to support the embassy staff and companies dealing with the UK with customs related issues and questions. Besides staff members, we also added additional resources such as offices, IT equipment, and we have grown our IT capacity because of the fact that we expect double-digit growth in customs declaration and customs permits. And of course, we installed quite a few X-ray scans in the ports as well. Especially in those ports where ships and ferry vessels come in and out now without any customs interference, because it's inter-EU shipments. From January 1st, it is external third country shipments that are coming in. Now, those are some of the changes, but what doesn't change? Well, I would say what doesn't change is the Netherlands will still be member of the EU, and that also means that the Union customs codes, our legislation, will remain the same. It is the legislation that is known to many of you in international business already, because you use it for your shipments in and out of the EU. But I've noticed in the last couple of weeks and months that we have quite an audience, and maybe also today, of people that have been dealing within the EU since 1993, or started since 1993, and have never experienced a customs officer besides the customs officer that they saw when they flew in and out at an airport and they had to open their luggage. But there was no customs in that part of international trade as long as it was within the EU. So I see quite some questions related to customs declaration, customs valuation, stuff like that. So yeah, that's a little bit concerning if you see that it's still happening 14 days ahead of time, ahead of the end of the transition period. But for you, I think it's important to know that the Union Customs Code will remain the same. And if you compare that to the UK, where new customs legislation has been announced a couple of years ago already, but they also have a complete new border processes, which were announced in the so-called border operating model, which was released in July this year, and we recently saw an update in October. But it's also announced by the UK government that they will keep updating this border operating model until at least June 2021. So expect the unexpected from that side. And they have also introduced new IT systems where we in the Netherlands, we had to expand our IT capacity, but we still use the same systems that we used to have. And I can only hope that you are satisfied with them until now. And as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, for those of you who are not familiar with the arrival procedure at a port coming from a non-EU country, let me share a couple of slides and try to give you a quick overview of what has to be done when you enter the Netherlands. And I hope that answers some of your questions as well. In this slide, you see on the left-hand side, you see a non-EU quay where goods are loaded on a vessel, and the vessel will go to the right-hand side in a minute when the colleague presses. Yeah, it does work. Magnificent. To go into the EU. Now you see the letters ENS, which is the entry summary declaration. Between the moment of departure and the arrival in the port, the entry summary declaration has to be handed in with customs. It's also known as the safety and security declaration. Once we Dutch Customs receive the ENS, we will start our risk management, and the risk management is done by customs, but it's also done for the other enforcement authorities such as agriculture, ILNT for waste shipments, for example. So it's a one go. You hand in your documents once, or your declaration once, and we will make sure that the risk management is done. And before arrival of the ship on the right-hand side into the Netherlands, you will already, or your partner who will arrange your logistics, will already receive a message whether or not your shipment will be checked on arrival. Once you arrive in the Netherlands, So in this picture on the right-hand side, the temporary storage declaration needs to be done. In the event that the first port of call is the Netherlands, then the ENS declaration can be used as the temporary storage as well. So that saves you a bit of hassle as well. And once we have received the temporary storage, the cargo can be unloaded onto the quay and indicated with the fence and the lock. It is a signal that although the goods are on the quay, they are not free to move around into the European Union or the Netherlands. So in the next slide, you will see the same fence and quay, the same lock, and we have a nice menu of 3 customs procedures that we can offer you. The first one is if you want to import your duty and import your shipment, and you want to declare your shipment for free circulation into the EU, you will declare at Dutch customs. You will your import duty will be paid. Your VAT needs to be paid or deferred. Of course, there is a classification for the HS code necessary, and you will fulfill all the non-tariff barriers. But once you have done that and the goods will be released and they are in free circulation, which means from January 21st, you will have 27 member states of the EU where you can bring your shipments to without any further customs interference. Now, the other possibility is that you re-export. Maybe you want to ship your shipment further to Russia or maybe to the UK. Then you can simply file for a re-export. There's no duty payment whatsoever necessary. There's even the possibility of bringing the containers or shipments between temporary storage facilities in the ports. And the third choice in the menu is what we call the special procedures. And that gives you the opportunity, if you could please click one more time. There we go. The special procedures give you the option to transit your shipment under customs supervision, so with a T document, into the 27 other member states, either in the Netherlands or the 26 besides the Netherlands. That's a possibility, and then you can choose to import them there, for example, or you can put them into storage in the Netherlands, into bonded warehouses. You can choose to temporarily import them if you need to bring them in only for a short time. Let me also highlight the option of inbound and outbound processing. During recent webinars, I was asked by colleagues of you questions about bringing shipments in from, for example, Asia, that need and then repack them to bring them, or at least a part of the shipment, back to or onwards to the UK. Remember that once you do that, you might need a inward or inbound processing license, because that's something that you can do under customs supervision without paying the import duty twice. Now, I hope this gives a little bit of an overview. I would like to end my presentation with the remark that it is not only the responsibility of Dutch government to prepare, and actually I should say to be ready by now. It is a joint responsibility. In the Netherlands, we like to cooperate with the branch organizations and individual companies as well. and try to see if we can reduce the impact as much as possible. But remember, whether you import in the Netherlands or in any other of the EU member states, as well as in the UK, you have to be prepared. And by now, you really have to be ready. So I wish all of you a successful transition, and let's hope for a fruitful new relation with the UK, and for you, a fruitful new year in 2021.
Thank you very much, Rick, for this very clear overview you presented to us. We have little time left, so just a few of the questions can be answered. As I told you before, we will give an answer to all your questions on our website. So we will ask them to our presenters and then publish it on our website. Maybe a first question to you, Rick. Is there a kind of Brexit emergency plan at the Dutch customs or the UK customs if it all doesn't work out in the beginning of January? And can there be a release of customs formalities for a certain period? Is there a chance for that, yes or no?
I would say the simple answer there is no. There is no chance for a flexible release of goods, because in the end, it is the European Commission that has to decide on that. The flexibility that we would recommend is to, if things do congest in the port, try to use a transit document to bring goods under supervision into the country or into the EU, and make your customs declaration for import at a later stage on the destination.
Thank you very much. Well, that's clear as well, I think. A clear answer. There's also a Canadian company with a warehouse in the Netherlands and a limited fiscal representation here, asking what to do and how to service the UK market out of the Netherlands. I would like to ask this viewer to contact us directly, because it's really depending on the specific case. So please drop a mail to HIDC, and then we will connect to you and see what will be the best solution for you. Maybe one more question, and that's a question about the trademarks. Raymond, can I ask this one to you about the trademarks? What does it mean now you have a trademark registration at the European Union? Do you need an additional registration in the UK after the 1st of January 2021? Do you know that?
Same short answer as Rick gave about the delay of customs. The trademarks will severely be impacted by Brexit. So the CE mark, the European one, the UK cannot issue that any longer from January 1st onwards. So that has to be done by a European register, but also the trademarks that have been issued prior to January 1st, 2021, they have to be revisited in the new situation. So you can't simply say that when you have one or when you just have one, it's still valid. Yeah, it's worth to have a careful look at and apply that to your situation. So it's not a give and take.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to leave it with that. We've come to the end of this webinar. It's 1 minute past 5. I would like to thank all the presenters for the great insight they have given in the Brexit implications. And I would like to thank all the viewers. Please have very happy holidays and stay healthy, and hope to see you again next year. Bye-bye.